Gustavus Reed, a Civil War soldier. Gustavus Reed was born January 22, 1831 in Rupert, Vermont. His parents were Solomon Reed and Delia Ormsby, who were both born in Vermont as well. Gustavus had 2 brothers and 5 sisters. He grew up in Paulet, Vermont on a farm owned by his father. Gustavus most likely went to school. Back then, there were several schools in each town, one for every district. The schools were small, single-room buildings with few kids at each one. When he got older, Gustavus worked as a laborer on the farm. He later moved to Dorset and became a farmer himself. At the time, there was no big farm machinery, so much of the work was done by hand or horse. It was a very laborious job. Even so, Solomon's farm was worth a high amount for that time, $1,000 in 1850 up to $2,200 20 years later. In the late 1850s, Gustavus, now a farmer, married a woman named Lydia. They had one son named after Gustavus's father, Solomon. It is unknown whether they had more children. Then, on May 2, 1861, at age 30, Gustavus enlisted into the Civil War Army. 7 days later, he was mustered into the 1st Infantry, Company G. During his time in the 1st, Gustavus did not actually fight. The same year, he was mustered out on August 15th. Less than a year later, at age 31, he enlisted again on March 10, 1862, and was mustered into the 2nd Infantry, Company B, a month and 2 days later. Gustavus's time in the war was spent in Virginia, fighting at battles like Golding's Farm, Savage's Station, and White Oak Swamp. Among these, Savage Station was one of the most important. It was the 4th of the 7 days battles, taking place on June 29, 1862, and lasting 1 day. The Union had been retreating towards James River. Meanwhile, Magruder, the Confederate, pursued along the railroad and Williamsburg Road. This is where they attacked the Union rearguard. There were several killed and wounded during battle, but the Union was able to continue their withdrawal across White Oak Swamp. Gustavus had fought in Hancock's brigade. The Hancock's brigade did not fight in the heart of the action, but they still contributed. Then, on September 2, 1862, Gustavus was discharged for disability. Gustavus was either wounded in battle or disabled due to disease, but his disability is unknown. After war, he returned home impaired to his wife and son in Dorset. But because of his disability, he was no longer working, although he may have received a pension record like this one. Sometime later, I believe that Lydia passed away, although the history is unknown as to if and when she died. It is known that Solomon, their son, died at age 15. Gustavus then remarried to Mary A. They had a daughter named Christina. It is unsure whether or not they had more children. Then, between 1880 and 1890, Gustavus and Mary moved to South Londonderry, Vermont. On September 4, 1893, Gustavus died of a tumor. He was buried in the Riverside Cemetery in Londonderry, Vermont. That is the story of Gustavus Reed, a Civil War soldier. By Alex Scott.